Now, there is a warning tonight for the manufacturers of the drug Primodos and the government too, with parents whose babies were affected by the drug preparing to take legal action. Well, the drug was given to women in the 1960s and 70s, and it was made up of 2 pills which would induce a period in those who were not pregnant. However, many families believe that if the mother was pregnant, it affected or even killed their children in the womb. Well, for more on this, I'm joined by Gooch, whose daughter Emma was born with deformities after she was prescribed the drug. She's one of the 200 women bringing the class action case. A very warm welcome to you, and thanks very much for agreeing to talk to us this evening. May I take you back to the discovery on the arrival of your baby daughter that your daughter had been affected by this drug that you'd taken, and how you felt at that time?
Well, initially, when she was born, she was taken away, wrapped up and taken away. And I kept asking where she was. And eventually they did come back, and they asked me to go with them. And there was a consultant in the room, and he opened the blanket that she was wrapped in and was sort of prodding her about and speaking to the other people in the room, but not to me. So I was quite shocked. They didn't tell me what the problem was. But I think quite quickly I realised that this was not, they called it congenital deformities, but I knew that it wasn't normal at all. And it wasn't anything that I'd done at all, because I didn't drink, I didn't smoke, and so I hadn't taken anything. And I did think, you know, then the only thing I'd taken were the 2 tablets that the doctor gave me. And you go to your doctor and you trust your doctor. So, yes, very quickly I felt I knew.
And what were the physical effects on your daughter Emma?
She doesn't have any proper fingers except for one. She's got one proper finger on her right hand. Her toes are foreshortened and webbed, so she's had quite a few operations. Her toes are still really delicate because they had to separate them and they're still quite tender. So she had her feet in silicone for a month. Yeah, and her spinal problems now have been exacerbated to the point where she walks with a stick and she's in pain all the time. So she can't work full time.
I was going to ask what the impact has been on Emma's life as an adult. She's in her 40s, late 40s now?
She is, yes, she is. Well, obviously she hasn't been able to do quite a few of the things that she wanted to do. She absolutely adores music. She hasn't been able to play guitar or piano, which were the things that she would like to have done. But in other ways, I think she's had quite a good social life. But yes, of course it has an impact. It has a big impact. She was bullied at school. And it gets harder as she gets older because of the pain and the fact that she can't work full time now.
Now, the problems surrounding Primodos have been well documented and known for a long time. What's prompted you and this other group of women to come forward now?
I think for years we've been looking into this. We've been to the Kew archives. Mari Lyon, our chairperson, has been to the archives in Berlin, and we found documents. And Jason Farrell and Sky News did a documentary, I believe, last year or 2017, which really showed the cover-up. And so it's just not right. We went to court in 1982, and that was basically stopped, that court action. But the documents that we found since show that the regulators have covered things up, the manufacturers have covered things up, and they say that it's nothing to do with them, that, you know, this hasn't been the cause of any of the problems. If they're innocent, I'd like to know, why did they ask for documents to be destroyed, and why have they covered up documents and buried them? If you're innocent, why do you need to do that?
How important has it been for you to have had this study, the Oxford study, which has drawn together many different reports and found this strong association between the drug Primodos and those birth defects and life-limiting deformities, that is the best way to describe it?
Yeah, incredibly important. I think Carl Hennigan's a world-leading expert on evidence-based medicine, on meta-analysis, and certainly appears to be trying to get the systems changed. And I believe that we have to have the systems changed. We can't have our licensing authorities hand in hand with the pharmaceutical industry, because they're not going to do anything about it. And there were suspicions over this decades ago, and yet it took them 8 years before these tablets were taken off the market. That's unacceptable. We can't have pharmaceutical industries financing our licensing authority. It's just not right.
Well, the regulators
and SPG.
Sorry, carry on. I apologise.
No, I was going to say I'm just absolutely delighted that SPG Legal firm have been giving us amazing support. 12 of their employees are actually running the 10K Wirral Run on the 8th of September in support of our charity, and along with Mari Lyon, our chairperson, and they've been wonderful, and I can't thank them enough.
And just finally, there's talk that this case could result in payouts of multi-million pounds. You know, obviously the manufacturers and the government regulators being accused of negligence. You can't put a figure on the effect it's had on your life, the effect it's had on your daughter's life. But will this case, if successful, bring you some degree of closure?
I think it will. I think we want justice, not just for the people in the association now, for all the women who basically didn't manage to produce children. They miscarried. For all the women who produced babies, and those babies, some of them died at birth, some of them died days afterwards, weeks, months afterwards, some years afterwards, and for all the people who are living with disability as a result of this. So we want justice for all of them.
Chris Gooch, thanks very much indeed. Thank you.
Thank you.